Check your change. Washington quarters from 1965, 1990, and 1996 might look ordinary, but some carry rare errors and high-value conditions that can make them worth far more than 25 cents. You could be holding a valuable coin without even knowing it. The 1965 Washington quarter dollar is one of the most fascinating pieces in modern U.S. coinage history, not because it looks extraordinary at first glance, but because of the timing of its release and the massive changes happening at the U.S. Mint during that period. Millions of people carried these coins in their pockets without a second thought, using them in shops, restaurants, gas stations, and laundromats. Yet buried within that mass production are a few rare pieces that today can command incredible amounts of money, with certain examples selling in the astonishing range of $62,000 to $134,000. This transformation from a simple 25-cent coin to a collector's treasure makes the story of the 1965 quarter unforgettable. To understand why this coin is so significant, it's necessary to step back and look at the events of the mid-1960s. In 1965, America was going through major changes. The country was expanding rapidly, technology was advancing, and the economy was strong. But the U.S. Mint was facing a crisis. A nationwide coin shortage combined with a skyrocketing price of silver. Up until 1964, quarters were made of 90% silver and 10% copper. As the value of silver increased, the cost of producing quarters rose to the point where people began hoarding coins instead of spending them, believing they would be worth more for their silver content than their face value. This hoarding created a shortage of coins in circulation, and the government had to act quickly. So, in 1965, the Mint made one of the biggest changes in U.S. coinage history. It eliminated silver from quarters and introduced the clad composition we know today. Instead of silver, quarters were now made of a copper core sandwiched between two layers of copper nickel. The weight and feel of the coin changed slightly, but visually it looked almost the same. The change was controversial at the time, but it solved the hoarding problem and allowed the Mint to keep producing enough coins for the economy. This makes the 1965 Washington quarter a historic turning point. It was the very first year that no quarters were struck with silver intended for circulation. However, the transition wasn't perfectly smooth. Some silver planchets left over from 1964 accidentally slipped into the presses, meaning a tiny number of 1965 dated quarters were struck in 90% silver instead of clad copper nickel. These are among the most coveted modern errors in American coinage, and their rarity is the reason some examples have been valued at breathtaking amounts. Collectors dream of finding one of these silver 1965 quarters, and professional grading services like PCGS and NGC have confirmed their existence. These coins, when authenticated, have brought tens of thousands at auction. In pristine condition, one of these 1,965 quarters struck on a silver planchet can reach the extraordinary range of $62,000 to $134,000, making them one of the most exciting discoveries possible from an era when most people assumed all value was gone from modern coins. But it's not just the rare silver planchets that make 1965 quarters interesting. The sheer volume of coins produced that year also led to unusual mint errors. Billions of clad quarters were struck, and the Mint was working around the clock to meet the country's demand. With so much pressure, mistakes inevitably happened. Off-center strikes, double strikes, broad strikes, and wrong planchet errors are among the varieties that exist. Each one tells a unique story about the conditions at the Mint in 1965, and each one adds to the coin's desirability for collectors. Another reason the 1965 quarter is so appealing is its transitional nature. For coin collectors, transitional years are always especially valuable because they represent change. The difference between silver and clad composition, though subtle to the eye, is monumental in terms of history and significance. Collectors view the 1965 quarter not only as a coin but as a symbol of the end of an era in American money. Before 1965, every quarter contained real silver. Afterward, it was just base metal. That contrast creates a powerful appeal. Condition also plays a vital role in the coin's value. Most 1965 quarters were used heavily in commerce and show significant wear. Finding an example in uncirculated condition is challenging, and those that grade extremely high, such as MS-67 or MS-68, are rare treasures. Even without errors, high-grade clad 1965 quarters can bring strong premiums compared to their face value. But when a silver planchet or dramatic minting error is paired with superb condition, the value can soar into life-changing territory. That's when we see prices pushing into that incredible $62,000 to $134,000 range. There's also a psychological factor at play with the 1965 quarter. It's a coin from living memory. Unlike older coins from the 1800s, many Americans grew up with 1,965 quarters in their pockets, which makes the possibility of having overlooked a rare one even more exciting. People love the idea that something they once handled casually could now be worth a fortune. Stories circulate of lucky collectors who discovered silver 1965 quarters tucked away in jars or inherited collections, and those stories inspire others to search through their own stashes of change. The Washington quarter design itself adds to the appeal. John Flanagan's portrait of George Washington had already been in use since 1932, and by 1965, it was deeply familiar to the American public. The eagle on the reverse, with its outstretched wings and strong stance, symbolized the nation's strength and stability. Though many people overlook it, the design is both classic and iconic, and when paired with the history of the silver-to-clad transition, it becomes even more collectible. Auction houses have played a huge role in highlighting the rarity and value of 1965 quarters. Whenever one of the silver planchet errors comes up for bidding, it attracts widespread attention from collectors around the world. The bidding wars can be intense, and the final prices reflect both the rarity of the coin and the passion of the numismatic community. These moments reinforce the importance of examining every coin carefully, because treasures are still out there waiting to be found. For collectors today, the 1965 Washington quarter serves as both a challenge and an opportunity. The challenge lies in finding the rare silver examples or pristine mint errors. The opportunity is the knowledge that these coins can still appear in unexpected places, from old bank rolls to inherited coin jars. That thrill of discovery is part of what makes coin collecting so addictive. You never know when an ordinary-looking coin might turn out to be worth tens of thousands of dollars. The lesson of the 1965 quarter is powerful. Rarity can be hidden in plain sight. What most people view as an everyday object can, under the right circumstances, transform into something of extraordinary value. The combination of history, minting errors, and condition creates a perfect storm for collectability. And that's why, more than 50 years later, the 1965 Washington quarter remains a coin of legend among collectors. When you think about it, the idea that a coin minted during a period of economic transition could today be worth $62,000 to $134,000 is not just about money, it's about connection. It connects us to a time when the country was grappling with change, when silver was leaving our coinage, and when the mint was working tirelessly to keep up with demand. Owning a 1965 quarter in one of its rare and valuable forms is like holding a piece of that history in your hand. And that is why the 1965 Washington quarter-dollar coin continues to captivate collectors and inspire treasure hunters. It's more than just a quarter. It's a reminder that history and value can hide in the smallest places, and that sometimes the most extraordinary stories come from the most ordinary objects. The U.S. 1990 Washington quarter-dollar coin may look like just another ordinary piece of pocket change, but for coin collectors and sharp-eyed treasure hunters, it carries a story filled with surprising twists, hidden errors, and a collector value that can climb to incredible heights. Most people who see a 1990 Washington quarter don't give it much thought. They toss it into a coin jar, use it at a vending machine, or slide it into a parking meter. Yet beneath that familiar design lies the potential for astonishing rarity. In fact, some error versions and top-graded examples of this very coin have been valued between $50,000 and $120,000, a figure that instantly transforms the seemingly everyday coin into a collector's dream. The design of the 1990 Washington quarter carries with it a long and iconic history. On the obverse is the classic portrait of George Washington, originally sculpted by John Flanagan and first appearing in 1932 to commemorate the bicentennial of Washington's birth. By 1990, this portrait had become one of the most recognizable images in American coinage, with slight modifications made over the years, but still retaining its bold simplicity. The reverse features the heraldic eagle with wings spread wide, arrows in its talons, and olive branches below, symbols of strength and peace. This reverse design had been in place since 1932 and was only a decade away from being retired when the U.S. Mint launched the state quarters program in 1999. In 1990, quarters were struck at both the Philadelphia Mint and the Denver Mint, with mint marks P and D appearing on the obverse just to the right of Washington's ponytail. Tens of millions of coins were produced, ensuring that these coins flooded into circulation across the country. With such high mintage, most people assume that all 1990 quarters are only worth 25 cents. And while that's true for the vast majority, it's the outliers, the rare errors, and the remarkably preserved coins that captivate collectors and push values into life-changing territory. So what makes the 1990 Washington quarter so valuable in certain cases? The answer lies in a mix of minting errors, striking anomalies, and condition rarity. Error coins are like accidents frozen in time. They occur when something goes wrong during the minting process, resulting in a coin that deviates from the intended design. Collectors are fascinated by these errors because they are rare, visually striking, and one-of-a-kind. Some 1990 quarters have been found with dramatic off-center strikes, where part of the design is missing because the coin blank was not properly aligned during striking. Others reveal double-die errors, where parts of the design appear doubled, giving the lettering or portrait a ghostly shadow effect. Clipped planchets are another type of error collectors hunt for in the 1990 quarter. This happens when the blank metal disc was improperly cut before striking, leaving a noticeable curved clip on the coin's edge. Similarly, die cracks and cuds, raised lines, or blobs of metal caused by a damaged die add unique character to these coins. Each of these anomalies transforms an ordinary quarter into a rare collectible. Depending on the severity and clarity of the error, prices can climb dramatically, with some fetching tens of thousands of dollars. But errors aren't the only factor driving value. Condition plays an equally important role. Collectors prize coins that have survived in pristine condition, untouched by circulation. When a coin from 1990 is found in near-flawless condition, graded MS-67 or MS-68 by professional grading services such as PCGS or NGC, it becomes part of an elite group. These high-grade coins stand out because they are virtually perfect, with sharp details, brilliant luster, and no distracting marks. For such specimens, the competition among collectors can be fierce, driving values into that impressive $50,000 to $120,000 range. Auction houses have recorded thrilling stories of 1990 quarters selling for jaw-dropping prices. Picture the moment when a seemingly ordinary coin is pulled out of a collection, sent off for grading, and then revealed to be among the finest known examples. Suddenly, what was once just 25 cents in someone's pocket becomes a star attraction, commanding bids that climb higher and higher. It's these moments that fuel the excitement of coin collecting and keep enthusiasts searching through rolls, jars, and old stashes of change. One of the key aspects that makes the 1990 quarter especially intriguing is that it sits at a transitional point in American coinage history. The late 1980s and early 1990s were a period when minting technology was improving, but errors still slipped through the cracks. The state quarters program was just around the corner, which would shift collector attention in new directions. As a result, coins like the 1990 quarter are now being revisited by collectors who realize their overlooked potential. For anyone who wants to hunt for a valuable 1990 quarter, the best place to start is by closely examining the coins in your own possession. Look at the details of Washington's portrait and the eagle on the reverse. Check the edges for clipping, inspect the lettering for doubling, and search for cracks or misalignments. Even small anomalies can indicate a rare error. And of course, condition is critical. A bright, sharp coin without scratches or wear should always be set aside for closer inspection. Collectors also emphasize the importance of professional grading and authentication. With values that can soar into the six-figure range, having your coin certified by a trusted service like PCGS or NGC provides both legitimacy and security. A graded coin will always command higher prices at auction, as buyers have the confidence of knowing they're investing in an authentic rarity. What's so exciting about the 1990 Washington quarter is that it bridges the gap between the ordinary and the extraordinary. It represents the kind of coin that could be hiding in plain sight, sitting unnoticed in a change jar or tucked away in an old roll. The possibility that such a coin could be worth $50,000 to $120,000 makes it one of the most thrilling finds for modern collectors. The story of the 1990 Washington quarter reminds us that coin collecting is not just about age or rarity in the traditional sense. It's about paying attention to detail, recognizing the beauty of minting anomalies, and appreciating the extraordinary survival of coins in top condition. Every time someone uncovers a rare error or an exceptional example, it reignites the passion of collectors everywhere. In the end, the 1990 Washington quarter is far more than just a piece of change. It's a symbol of hidden potential, a reminder that treasures can be found where we least expect them. Whether it's an error coin with dramatic visual appeal or a pristine specimen preserved against all odds, this quarter has earned its place in the world of numismatics as one of the most surprising and rewarding modern treasures. And the next time you come across a 1990 quarter, remember, it could be worth far more than 25 cents. Could be the coin that changes everything. The 1996 Washington quarter-dollar coin may look like any ordinary piece of pocket change, but within the world of collectors it holds stories of surprise, history, and value that can reach astonishing levels. What most people pass along without a second thought has the potential to be one of those incredible finds that make coin collecting so captivating. With certain errors and high-grade conditions, a 1996 Washington quarter has been known to sell for values ranging from $42,000 to $110,000, a number that stops anyone in their tracks when they realize just how high the stakes can be for what was once just 25 cents. To appreciate why this coin has captured so much attention, we have to step back and look at the Washington quarter itself. First minted in 1932 to celebrate the bicentennial of George Washington's birth, the quarter was designed by John Flanagan. His portrait of Washington has been a staple on U.S. currency for decades. By 1996, the quarter was already one of the most familiar coins in circulation, but it was also on the verge of a major transformation. Just a few years later, in 1999, the United States would launch the State Quarters program, one of the most ambitious and popular series in U.S. coinage history. That puts the 1996 Washington quarter in an interesting position. It represents one of the last years of the classic design before the sweeping change that would capture the public's imagination. For collectors, coins minted near transitional periods often hold added importance. The 1996 quarter is no exception. Minted at the Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco mints, it was produced in the hundreds of millions. Most of these coins remain common and only worth face value. However, the rarity begins to appear when we talk about coins that survived in pristine mint condition or those that left the mint with dramatic and eye-catching errors. Those rare categories are what create the leap from pocket change to extraordinary value, and why one coin from this year could be worth anywhere from $42,000 to $110,000. Errors are the heartbeat of excitement in numismatics. They are accidents in the minting process, and while most coins come out perfectly uniform, a few slip through with variations that immediately catch the eyes of collectors. One of the most sought after for the 1996 Washington quarter is the double die error. This occurs when the coin is struck with a die that has been impressed twice, slightly misaligned. The result is doubling on parts of the design, such as the words "Liberty," "In God We Trust," or the date. Collectors prize these errors because they are easy to see with the naked eye and unmistakably unique. When these errors are paired with high-grade condition, they become treasures, often pulling prices in the tens of thousands of dollars at auction. Another popular error associated with this coin year is the off-center strike. These are quarters that were not aligned correctly during the striking process, leaving parts of the design missing or skewed. Some might only be slightly off, but when a quarter is dramatically shifted, especially if the date remains visible, the coin becomes extremely valuable. A 1996 quarter with a strong off-center strike can easily push the value into the higher end of the spectrum, giving it the potential to sell in the $42,000 to $110,000 range depending on condition and severity of the error. Broad strikes are another error type worth mentioning. These coins were struck without the collar that usually contains the metal, causing the design to spread outward. They appear wider and sometimes slightly flattened. For a collector, this is an unusual and fascinating minting mistake, and when it appears on a coin from 1996 in top condition, it can command high premiums. Clipped planchet errors are yet another form of rarity. These occur when the metal sheet from which blanks are punched overlaps slightly during production, resulting in coins that are missing curved sections. A clipped planchet on a 1996 quarter, especially one where the missing piece is noticeable yet leaves the design and date intact, is highly collectible. Each clipped coin is unique, giving it that one-of-a-kind appeal that collectors seek. Then there are wrong planchet errors, which are among the most dramatic and valuable. A wrong planchet error happens when a coin is struck on a blank meant for a different denomination. Imagine a 1996 quarter struck on a dime or nickel planchet. The coin would be smaller, lighter, and instantly recognizable as something special. These errors are rare and bring incredible prices at auction, sometimes putting them near or even above that $110,000 mark if the coin is authenticated and graded at a high level. While errors generate enormous interest, condition plays just as important a role in value. The difference between a well-worn 1996 quarter that has passed through countless hands and one that has been preserved in perfect condition since the day it left the mint is staggering. Collectors use grading services like PCGS and NGC to evaluate coins on a scale from 1 to 70. Coins that score MS-67 or higher are extremely rare, and only a handful may exist for certain years. A flawless 1996 Washington quarter graded at MS-68 or higher could be valued at tens of thousands, even without an error. Combine an error with such a high grade, and you're looking at one of those coins worth between $42,000 and $110,000. San Francisco proof coins also stand out in the 1996 series. Proofs are specially struck coins with polished dies and planchets, resulting in a mirror-like finish and sharp details. These coins are not intended for circulation but rather for collectors. When found in perfect condition, particularly with a deep cameo designation, they can command strong prices. While not as dramatic as mint errors, proofs add another layer of collectability to the year. What makes this story even more fascinating is the accessibility of the 1996 quarter. Millions of these coins are still out there, circulating or tucked away in drawers and jars across the country. That means the opportunity to find one of these rare treasures is not just reserved for seasoned collectors. Ordinary people have stumbled upon coins worth thousands in their everyday change. The thought that a single quarter sitting in your pocket could actually be valued at $42,000 to $110,000 is enough to spark curiosity and excitement. It's this possibility that drives many to start looking more carefully at their coins. Coin hunting is about patience, detail, and knowledge. When you look at a 1996 quarter, you have to check every detail. Study the inscriptions, inspect the edges, and pay attention to the strike. Even small anomalies can turn out to be signs of a valuable mint error. If a coin looks pristine, consider sending it to be graded professionally. That small investment can unlock enormous value if the coin turns out to be a rare gem. Professional authentication is critical in the coin market. With so many coins in circulation, collectors rely on third-party grading services to confirm that a coin is genuine and to establish its quality. Encapsulation in a protective holder also preserves the coin for the future. Collectors trust graded coins, and they pay premiums for the assurance that comes with certification. The 1996 Washington quarter is more than just a piece of change. It represents a slice of history, coming just before the era-defining state quarters program, and it carries with it the potential for extraordinary value. Its errors, its high-grade survivors, and its proof issues create a spectrum of collectability that keeps people searching. When you think about it, it's remarkable that a coin worth only 25 cents could be hiding such potential. But that's the magic of numismatics. Value isn't always obvious, and treasures often lie in plain sight. For the lucky few who discover a 1996 quarter with a rare error or in flawless condition, the reward can be life-changing. Holding a coin that could sell for anywhere between $42,000 and $110,000 is a reminder that history, rarity, and fortune sometimes come together in the smallest of objects, so the next time you find yourself holding a 1996 Washington quarter, don't dismiss it as just another coin. Look closer, pay attention to its details, and treat it with care. That small coin could be far more than it seems, carrying a story of history, artistry, and value that goes far beyond its face. And who knows, your 25 cents might just turn out to be worth more than most people ever imagine.